Welcome everyone to this after work news live stream. I hope the notification reached you well. I had it here running for five minutes scheduled here. Not really sure if that helps. I personally didn't got any notifications, so just the regular amazing Web 2.0 notification goodness that we are all used, and I don't know. Anyway, welcome everyone, good evening. Still pronunciation. Anyway, so much happens this week, not only on our amazing vintage and state-of-the-art coding side, also here in the global IT news. Just out, I think, today from Project Zero here. Very deep dive into iOS exploit chains found in the wild. So much to iOS is the most stable, or so not stable, peak bugs anyway, but yeah, most secure OS, apparently for many years ongoing, according to this blog post of the famous Project Zero people here, and often work with other companies to find and report security vulnerabilities with the ultimate goal of advocating structural security improvements in popular systems, similar to our amazing call-out ear of stuff. Hey, amazing donation, Anon 123 there. Thanks for that. And so there are no. So what they found apparently here is apparently for many years ongoing. Working with tech, they discovered exploits for a total of 14 vulnerabilities across the 5 exploit chains, 7 for the iPhone's web browser, 5 for the kernel, 2 for separate sandbox escapes. Initial analysis indicates that at least one of the privileged escalation change was still 0-day and unpatched for the time of discovery, CVE 2019-7287 and so on, 7286 and you name it. And yeah, so much to iOS is so much more secure or something of that sort. And we have a couple of more IT news. So apparently also they said, by the way, more news worthy probably is that what was here? They used it for risk of detecting targeted something towards cost monitoring, something. Anyway, something more was up with this. Whatever that was. Anyway, with more news, we have more of that, and also Project Zero, what I already called out in the previous live stream there, that Android had also so many 193 or what it was security vulnerabilities in the latest upcoming stable update, stable major release closed. And this is this kind of stuff, well, as amazing as it is that Project Zero there of Google spends so much time analyzing other people's stuff, the more surprising in a way it is that you still have this high, but they got $5,500 anyway, the discoverer for security researcher for reporting this. Anyway, so use after free, also modern programming languages like C and C++ used after free in Blink, reported by She Yin and others. And so this makes, of course, I think this was like high, and of course additionally others. So various, so you see after so many years of development, various fixes from internal audits, fuzzing and other initiatives. And as good as it is that they do this, it's somehow, after being kind of 20 years sort of in this industry, really depressive that we still work on this level. And I only need to be happy that our company is not doing browsers directly. But on our plus side, the new exFAT scan and OCR kit, all the new stuff we are writing in Lua, I called this out previously. Initially not the very greatest fan of this dynamically typed and interpreted if you're not just in time compiling these languages, but at least you reduce all this normal use after free and off by one left and right for the most part. And originally I've not been the greatest fan of Java, But maybe this is more the frameworks from back in the day. Maybe in general, it's in retrospect, maybe it wasn't the worst idea, and maybe with a little bit more frameworks, modern frameworks, and not as large. And Luggage has proven there this extremely small, 100 kilobytes small source, high performance JIT there. And yeah, probably we, after our fun with the 3D stuff here the other days, probably time to do some research in just in-tom compiling with MIPS and RISC-V and some stuff like that. In similar news, China intercepts WeChat, text from US and abroad, researchers say. And no, how can we listen? Really don't like this modern pop-ups, they're all over the place. And yeah, raise your hand if you're surprised. I'm certainly not surprised. I've mostly been in Taiwan and Russia, obviously, and not in United States and UK. But recently someone told me that their iPhone got extremely hot when they have been in Taiwan, not even China. And could be a coincidence, but could be some kind of massive, where was it there, Project Zero. Well, after this kind of stuff, and this is also why I constantly reiterate that stuff needs to be secure. If your local government, be it the US, the Chinese, UK or German government or Russia and all the stuff left and right in between, stuff needs to be secure. There cannot be government backdoors, because even the non-government backdoor stuff is highly compromised. And then if you have government backdoors from whatever trustworthy government you are, the more people are hanging around on your phone. And well, given this person told me that they never had this overheating iPhone stuff before and after, and it was like in Taiwan constantly hot somehow, well, I don't know, at least with China it wouldn't surprise me. And if you, my recommendation anyway, the first time I've been in Taiwan was around 2005, and that was before the iPhone, whatever, maybe I had a Sony, something. But I'm not really sticking the most to that recommendation. My recommendation would be always travel with a burner phone, and this is why some old-fashioned dumb phone, feature phone, actually is not too bad of an idea. And I should probably personally get more back to this. I have to admit, I personally became a little bit too easy with this, and when I'm in Russia or the USA, I now actually used my iPhone. Maybe I should actually. The problem is, even if I take my Nexus 5 now, that on the side here of the Samsung Galaxy S10e, even the Nexus 5 is of course such an same insecure phone now with 2 or 3 years of security vulnerabilities unpatched. So maybe I need to roll here my own T2 based Android build therefore, then all the devices there, or really get a burner phone. Also on the plus side, when I'm in Russia, then I actually usually don't activate cellular connections, so I only use Wi-Fi, unless I get lost and need help, which thankfully doesn't happen too often, but so I've not exposed my cellular stuff there from the iPhone too much. Let's see, not surprised, developers need to check the software more precisely in QA testing. Yeah, also, a little bit side note here. So someone actually, I was surprised how many positive comments there and interest we got here in the Silicon Motion stuff. One thing I also wanted to say, I'm really surprised that there is not more test coverage on the graphic driver stuff. So even with my unsuccessful one-man code here, I could actually next implement all the algorithms in software for graphic server stuff and even have this automated tested. I'm so surprised. I mean, this is also why after 20 years, I don't know, do 20 years Linux stuff, and so 66% of the time that Linux existed, and yet we neither have, for all the drivers and even in the kernel, not too much testing infrastructure. And what software? So yeah, even with this in exact image, even in our small exact image open source stuff, we have a huge test suite. Actually our exact image test suite, it's much larger than our exact scan. Obviously for the OCR kit we have a huge test suite. So yeah, and this stuff, recurring theme here, this stuff costs time and money, right? Davey asks, what software are you running on your phone? FOSS app, thoughts on Librem? Yeah, actually, So I run the regular Samsung stuff. So until recently I was an iPhone user anyway, and yeah, iPhone, but I still have it around, not too bad of a thing to have an alternative phone. So yeah, I will probably, with the YouTube theme ongoing here, make a Android build for Samsung stuff, Samsung S10e. The problem is, of course, that you need a custom kernel build for all of them. And this is something I would, if I personally, maybe with the help of AdSense, YouTube AdSense revenue here, but otherwise here 20% company time, do here more development and research. This is also hilarious, right? If we would have, so not only is it hilarious that we do not have one ARM kernel, in theory there should not be nothing preventing to have one Android distribution running on all the Android phones. This is only because the binary only GPU and baseband stuff is such a clusterfuck. And so because normally I mentioned this in a small live stream some year ago, probably need to make a dedicated video. Normally you would expect all these ARM phones to be treatable like a Windows XP installation or Windows Vista or 10, or it doesn't matter. Linux distribution to just have the same build. This is of course hilarious that due to that the companies' ecosystems around ARM and the Linux developers have allowed this to become such a nightmare and have a dedicated kernel. Although it becomes better now that we have device trees on ARM as well. But theoretically, you should have been able, just like generic PCs, this is also one of the huge historic mistakes in my opinion. And even with what I always say, because monolithic kernels we have too many, I will definitely do here some microkernel research. And with some small microkernel hardware abstraction layer and some more, even totally not a fan of binary only drivers, but if you have some, then at least then they could be able to be usable in a year or two, and not this incompatible each kernel, ever-changing API stuff all over the place. Not a huge fan, especially after I've done this 20 years now. I'm really getting a little bit over it. So yeah, not making this up. I really need to watch this here. Did the stream crash? This is really this recurring Mac Mini TG3, it's hilarious. Actually, I thought I had this quite under control. Today I even took the interface down, what I have not done with the new switch here the other day. So it's not a switch thing, not a crappy Linksys switch. And here this is live. And yeah, monolithic kernel goodness. Transmit queue, 0 timed out. And this, my usual workaround is, and this is why I'm really getting depressive with this Linux stuff. Normally the workaround is to take the interface down and up again, and I've done this today, just said whatever. Yeah, so much to TG3. Also, I thought this is in some server hardware. Really surprises me that we still have such stuff like this. It's hilarious. I hope not too much was lost. Let me just check. Don't really want all of those photos instantly. Taiwan would be... where do I... Or is this Computex? Oh, here's Computex. Here from my photos of Taiwan, where would have been the Neophone, because this was really sad. Oh, so many photos. Maybe last, also not the most amazing, a little bit vintage gallery stuff here that might not even have been cached because not opened. So when would be this Neophone? Would probably be this time. Anyway, I even met these people accidentally. Of course, I have been there for scanner business, and we kind of course, at that point we have done Linux 10 years already, and we met these people there from the Neophone, Neo 1973 or something, and this is also a good example of how open source fails. Because there's people who, there were like 4 open source people, the ones who have been there, yeah, here's a Neophone, not making this stuff up. And I actually ordered a Neophone, and I had this here, but we had one break-in in storage unit. It was in storage because certainly this Neophone. I also didn't like the toy plastic, but whatever, I just wanted to have this as reference test development stuff. And of the few stuff in the storage unit, we mostly have scanners there, old outdated vintage scanners. They were probably not the most amazing to steal. So unfortunately, they have stolen this Neo phone in this black box there. But my point is, the other people were totally hostile. So I spoke there with this people from FIC. Say, yeah, we do open source, have your embedded company and stuff. And the people were quite interested and said, yeah, they were totally surprised that some Western people like this hang out on the Computex trade show. And then I found out, trying to keep contacts, networking and stuff, and these other people, they were really frightened that some other person comes in there and has another opinion or takes their work or something. This was, if they have done this with all of those people, then it is no wonder that this Neo phone was a fail. But just as another example here of what kind of stuff happens in the embedded open source world. I made these videos already, but yeah, that wasn't too nice. So yeah, not really the most interested in that particular phone. I would rather then make a custom build for phones that other people have on the shelves. Anyway, more privilege escalation here on the Lenovo side. Lenovo CVE 2019-6177 Lenovo solution center privilege escalation, slow but sure. And I think that you need already to have local access or something, so you can only escalate if you already have some local stuff. Apparently Lenovo's handling was not the most amazing. It was like first like, yeah, there's not too much to see or something, and then they didn't respond much, and then they called the solution center thing outdated or deprecated since last year already. So yeah, not the most amazing, outstanding security handling there from Lenovo's part. But yeah, again, it required already, as far as I know, local privileges. So the buckets have DACL access control overwritten, which may be high privilege, no process something, and here something. Yeah, also recurring theme here, laptop crapware is not amazing. Just usually, well, basically I use Linux anyway, but even if you're in Windows, you probably don't want to use all this. What most people do, and is probably the best recommendation, is just to wipe all the stuff anyway and start even Sony DRM rootkit there from back in the day. And open source is not immune. I think another news that made here quite some rounds through the news the other day was Dovecot and Pigeonhole, mostly probably for the Dovecot thing here, because of course this is a mail server really many people run, and it was, I think, without login, so you could compromise each server before the authentication, so you have pre-login phase, and that is of course does not handle null byte when scanning data and quoted strings, leading to out of bounds heap memory writes. In a way, I really would wish Lua is really pretty cool, actually. By the way, fun fact, I was not, when I first got to know Lua in Rock Linux times, when someone probably sent something, actually, yeah, right, someone sent in some using Lua in our Rock Linux build stuff for the distribution, and was like, yeah, not yet another scripting language, not the most impressed, yeah, whatever, something, and was even not, it was also a little bit alien to me that comments were like minus minus instead of anything else that I was used to, so everything looked a little bit alien to me with all the minus minus for comments. But so much too, you always need to keep an open mind and evaluate it. Year after year it grew on me, and maybe I would not use PHP, right? Because PHP, of course, too many security vulnerabilities. Also Perl and stuff, not the greatest fan. Never was. Although I'm already 20 years in the open source stuff. I really wonder, why do we not write more of this network software in something more dynamically and runtime type safe like Lua or maybe Java, but yeah, whatever. And because this kind of vulnerabilities, right? This is out of bounds writes. First of all, like scanning, like why is string escape handling and scanning still a thing? It should really not be done with scanf and such, like seriously not. And then I said this mentioned this in another stream already. We should probably really get away not to write any software in C, not even a kernel, and even if you use lightweight C++ like I use for my examples, maybe at least do it in not scanf and some higher level stuff that's not off by one and or use after 3 and stuff. And again, this is why I like Lua so much, because it is small and beautiful, keep it simple and stuff, and yet quite versatile. And it has this Lua JIT, high performance JIT implementation. And yeah, but probably it's of course, nothing is perfect. Maybe as usual, there are already 100 languages. There's always room to make 101 language. And yeah, anyway, probably do some research in this area in the coming months or years. But in any case, you can already use .NET Java. And this is really, the more I see with this, again, the recurring theme, why did I start this YouTube channel? This is, if we would build architecture and buildings like this, all the skyscrapers would fall apart. Also, maybe when you look on the infrastructure of bridges in the US or even Germany, also not the best. So yeah, maybe bridges and skyscrapers also fall apart, but somehow shouldn't be like this. And maybe if you have any input, comments or suggestions, maybe leave it in the comments below what you think about the state of security in 2019. In more news, the existing exFAT code is horrible, but could soon be in staging. Like, it's horrible, but anyway, why is it horrible? Not only Moronics writes it here, but also well-renowned kernel developers. Greg KH responds that he doesn't believe that exFAT support could be tacked onto the existing. Oh, this was something else. Here, longtime kernel developer Christoph Helwig was quick to criticize the code for re-implementing large parts of the kernel existing FAT driver and calling the new driver a pile of crap. So yeah, a pile of crap, maybe soon coming into a kernel in the staging area next to you. Why is this news? Of course, Microsoft joining the Linux Foundation and Open whatever released apparently this FAT patents for general open source news. This was of course the Microsoft of the last decade, usually spreading fear and stuff in patent portfolio. And now of course the new Microsoft, apparently in a decade or so, they're probably allegedly apparently working hard to replace the Windows kernel with Linux or something. And yeah, it's of course totally annoying. You have here a YouTube recording and you can't even mount it on Linux, of course. Not cool, but yeah, also somehow too many file systems. But yeah, whatever will come out of this. In totally amazing, amazing news. Now I just wanted to close this ad and then the close button is gone. Anyway, in more amazing news, by the way, can we scroll this away a little bit? 16-bit RISC-V processor made out of carbon nanotubes. The future is now, also apparently. Of course, totally amazing research of the more amazing research. And so they apparently deployed some clever tricks, workarounds, major hurdles here. And it's not a route to high performance apparently, but cool nonetheless. And so hurdles were currently like some stuff could not be as easily constructed there out of carbon nanotubes. So to shrink the features of silicon-based processors appears to be a thing of the past, which has material scientists considering ways to move beyond silicon. Top candidate is carbon nanotubes, which naturally comes in semiconductor forms. Apparently, there were some issues now. So it is handling 32-bit instructions, because I was already wondering, I didn't really remember seeing a 16-bit variant of RISC-V. And immediately I was wondering 16-bit what, but so it's actually 30-bit instructions, but with 16-bit memory addressing. So news slightly misleading, because I was already wondering. So exactly, if you're interested in the RISC-V instructions and architecture, there was a previous video discussion there on my channel, somewhere down in the channel list. And what they apparently have done, so they apparently created automated processes, I think. Well, it's possible to, so what was the problem? I think they like modified open source tools or something to, where is it? Here other issues come from the need to place the nanotubes in extreme precise locations to get any electronics to work. They have figured out to get them to grow in a way in a particular location, so scientists have had to make them separately and then let them settle onto surfaces. Unfortunately, the process creates a thin film of random oriented nanotubes producing, anyway, where was this written? I think logic layout, where functional units of the chip do things like add two numbers. Those units are built of collections of small logic gates that perform simple functions. Are we even live? We are live. And where was it written here? The key insight of the researchers behind the new chip was that certain logic functions are less sensitive to metallic nanotubes than others, so they modified an open source RISC design tool to take this information into account. The result was a chip design that had not one of the gates that were most sensitive to the metallic carbon nanotube. And the resulting chip, which the team called RISC-V 16X Nano, was designed to handle 32-bit instructions. Yeah, we knew this already, and makes the resulted in 100% yield. In other words, even every single one of them, 14,000 gates worked. So, hello world here in carbon nanotube style. And yeah, amazing stuff. The future is now, as with growing, synthetically grown skin and other news, and for all the insecurity and not amazing climate change and irritated world leader news, at least some future is here in our crazy times here. In more crazy times, German news that I translate because wherever that came from. So huge shift in market share apparently, which is of course amazing for our open source support stuff. AMD, in my opinion, will earn for all the Intel, all the TikTok stuff of not improving much performance the last years. And Nvidia certainly, together with Intel, ripping up most customers, overcharging them when AMD was struggling so much. So apparently in the second quarter, so they sold less in total, but Nvidia is apparently, where is it here? So AMD's market share increased from 22.7 to 32.1 in GPUs, plus 71%. What? How does it even fit together? Whatever. And anyway, in Intel and Nvidia share is decreasing, but just some 1.3 percentage points. And AMD is the only manufacturer of all the three of them that could increase the shipments by 9.8%, and the market share increased from 14.8 to 17.2%, plus of 16%. Whatever. Anyway, cool stuff. Well deserved there for all the Ryzen stuff, and we are still waiting for this SKU, of course, as soon as we get the amazing 16-core consumer SKU. I also heard from other people that the 12 and 8 core SKUs of AMD Ryzen 3000 series are apparently totally sold out for the most part. And as we've seen in previous news, people were standing in line. Speaking about people standing in line, the TSA bans apparently Star Wars Galaxy's Edge thermal detonator Coca-Cola bottles, which is a little bit somehow little bit security theater. Not really the greatest fan of this security theater. But leave me in the comments below what you think about this, because especially in Europe we are only allowed to fly just a little bit of liquids, but then the rules are if I fly to Moscow, I usually don't fly with so many liquids. It's of course also hilarious, right? Even recently some politician or a famous actor complained on Twitter that was it even Casey Neistat? Complained on Twitter that they need to buy water bottles for $6 a pop or something. It's of course hilarious, also not good for the environment, right? We throw so many water bottles away in the name of security, and then you buy new ones for $6 a pop. It's hilarious. Also in the EU we are allowed to fly liquids like perfume or something, just 125 milliliters or some small nonsense. And I was surprised actually. Sometimes I use contact lenses, and I was surprised. I usually took this like small probe that I get for free from the optician. Therefore, order contact lenses. You have the small bottle. Thank you very much. And I usually flew with a small. Actually, I have one like this here, and 100 milliliters. Hey, perfect size here for not sponsored advertisement for flying. And then the security person, because sometimes you even have amazing people there, not only the annoying people, and some person, and I didn't even ask, I was scanning this there in Berlin, and this person was so clever, even clever people there. It's a security screening told me, hey, by the way, do you know you can also fly the big bottle? Like, how can I fly the big bottles? Yeah, it's medical equipment. So yeah, here's my tip live on YouTube. In the EU, apparently on friendly airports, you can fly huge bottles of medical equipment. It's of course hilarious, right? Who is checking that you're not filling this with explosive? It's hilarious. But I should probably not call out so many insecurity tips for airport screening. But the other hilarious thing, also this is stupid then if you have like a small perfume, you in the EU, for the international audience, you need to pack it in some bag that then they even sell you in a plastic, closable, wrappable plastic bag, totally nonsense and not good for the environment. And then they even sell them in some airports, right? So in Germany, they rip you off and you sell them some disposable machine there, teller machine for €1, a plastic bag, totally hilarious, because they don't let you fly your perfume without the plastic bag. For whatever security reason, I have no idea, except harassing the people and ripping them off. And when you fly back from Moscow, they don't care there. So, well, of course, they scan you with the same body scanners, amazing stuff. In Russia, they have there, but there they don't have as strict liquid rules. So you can fly back to Europe with much larger perfume or vodka or stuff like that. Anyway, hilarious stuff. Wanted to share in general. Always curious what you think about this security theater. Also, by the way, this varies quite a lot, right? So in Germany they are much more strict, and in Spain they are not as strict. So yeah, it's hilarious. Whatever. In more amazing airline news, more airlines ban MacBook Pros. So it sounds like you soon can't fly with MacBooks anymore, and of course they can't classify which of those generations. Even Louis Rossmann pointed this out, and yeah, of course they can't differentiate this easily. So this effectively means probably don't want to get a Mac because peak keyboard bugs and other peak bugs, and then you can't even fly them, which probably the Mac users also didn't really, although I have such a MacBook, so I better only fly with the ThinkPad then, for exactly this reason. And yeah, but that's what you get if you have such kind of exploding batteries. Fun fact, I need to still analyze my father's iPhone 5 stopped working, became totally hot. I still need to check, need to collect it there, and yeah, it's always, they always run my old stock that is running an original Apple battery that I think was switched 2 times on extended warranty, because all the Apple batteries, they also, it's hilarious, right? It's they always say it's only one model, but then it's always like all models. And they said when my iPhone 5 had this extended battery swap program stuff there, that it is only this one manufacturing batch had chemical impurities, but somehow it's like all of my batteries, so much to whatever is up with that. And it's the original Apple battery, so I'm really curious when I get this back in a couple of weeks or so. When I'm next time there, I will pick up this phone, hope that swapping a battery fixes this or whatever is defect there, but depending on how defect it is. And yeah, recurring theme also, of course, Apple is manufacturing, designing this on the edge, right? And in my opinion, this one-day battery life with moderate use on the first day is not amazing, and then after 6 months of use, the battery is already degraded so much that you only have half a day battery life on regular use or something. It's not cool. And then, of course, with such designed batteries on such an capacity edge there, it's no wonder that charging them on this kind of little spare batteries. This is also the reason why car manufacturers have some 20% batteries they don't charge. So a really recurring theme here, stop making this stuff thinner. This is really not necessary. Also similar news here, the Samsung certainly, although by the way, fun fact, I think the battery life is twice as long on the Samsung S10e than on Apple iPhone stuff. So on not as smartphone junky use, I get nearly 2 days battery life. Quite amazing stuff. In more Apple news, Louis Rossmann style here, right to repair. Really good news. However, how good the news are, we still have to see. Apple apparently now offers even more options for safe, reliable repairs after I called this out here on my channel that Apple tried with all their lobbyist influence to block the right to repair stuff. And now apparently this is press news here on the newsroom directly from the Apple side. Cupertino, California. Apple today announced the new repair program offering customers additional options. So although I think out of warranty repairs, Apple will provide more independent repair businesses, large or small, with the same genuine parts tools. And by the way, what took you so long, right? In my opinion, tomorrow will be Apple inside out disassembly video going on. I had it already recorded yesterday and scheduled for today, but moved it now with the news here. Today we will see a fine disassembly of an amazing Apple stuff. I really wonder why did they not for 20 years or 30 years in their computer business have user orderable spare parts. In my opinion, this should always have been the case, because especially previously Apple stuff was more for pros in the 90s for desktop publishing and stuff. Why not order plastic parts for a drive bay or stuff yourself? But yeah, what took you so long? And why did you have to lobby this? Of course, certainly this is probably the bare minimum. Also, this requires you need to have at least one Apple certified repair technician here, I read there. So although they even write here the test is free, so maybe not, well, whatever. Where have they written this? Somewhere it was. So the details are not very clear. Really looking forward to what Louis Rossmann will post there about this, maybe. And the new independent repair program complements Apple's continued investment in growing global network of over 5,000 Apple authorized service providers. Industry lead of industry. Qualifying repair businesses will receive. So I wonder if we should just qualify for the fun of it. What do we mean? No failing drop frames. Why is it reset to 0 drop frames? That is funny. Why do you write no? Because stream fails. Yeah, also wonder. So I took this interface down, but yeah, we will soon move on from the Mac Mini. I will certainly. This is TG3. Also, a recurring theme. Previously, so probably usually I also booted. Maybe today not with IOMMU turned off. Usually I do this. Not really sure, but I also really wonder why this TG3, was this TG3 not also used in some Sunboxes, or maybe I really wonder why is this stuff so buggy in 2019, and why we will really create some maybe more maintainable high-level code here from scratch. Also, this Broadcom company should work there on the Linux, right? Recurring theme on the Microsoft Surface. We have Atheros Wi-Fi hiccups on the ThinkPad. We have Intel wireless hiccups, firmware crashes there in Moscow. It's hilarious. This, in my opinion, this stuff in this day and age should be bug-free. The stream failed. Next time I won't be so ambiguous. Yeah. Not really sure what was now, though. Could be anyway. Also, other live stream we had DOCSIS, force reconnect. It's hilarious. This is how we treat infrastructure, right? The new water and electricity, it's also this DOCSIS cable stuff shouldn't reconnect every 24 hours. Previously the reconnect was at 6 or 5 in the night. Yeah, as the other live stream it was at 1700. That's anyway, probably I need to get my own DOCSIS modem and for better. Anyway, maybe next time. Out of principle anyway. So yeah, I wonder a little bit, but not really sure that I want to qualify someone here. Also, I wonder how they make this free test here. I think Louis Rossmann wanted to make a live stream, make this test. I wonder if it's an online test. if I would just pass it or if I would need to learn some bullshit. But anyway, tomorrow's video you will have some amazing Apple not approved totally out of spec upgrade from some good old vintage stuff that I hope you will and like it, something Apple didn't ever produce in this kind of SKU configuration. In similar news here, last but not least, in digital rights management and lobbyist kind of stuff, top MPAA lawyer, Mastermind behind its plan to attack the internet, arrested on blackmailing and sexual assault charges. Yeah, if you wondered what kind of lawyers without, what kind of humans are this working on the MPAA of lobbying for all this kind of digital, what was it, Digital Millennium Copyright Act. And yeah, a while back, the MPAA whistleblower sent me a big file of internal MPAA documents, spent many months going through them, trying to something, general control, what was this here about? But yeah, just as a, if you wondered what kind of people work there on lobbying for MPAA, and whatever, if you, anyway, just a regular gossip, but mostly we are here for security, in security news. I hope you learned something, and for any of the news useful, long story short, even neither Chrome nor, what was this here even? Oh yeah, Lenovo, or even Dovecot is secure a little bit. Yeah, also if you have any solutions or something of that sort, leave me in the comments below what would be your solution. But well, of course, this kind of new languages like Rust, more memory safety and type safety could of course be something, but in my opinion, you don't really need to wait for Rust. Also Rust, the ecosystem, not the most impressed, especially with bootstrapping. Also, as we've seen in previous videos, we still need to try to build some kind of Firefox for the PS3 or the G5 or other PowerPC goodness. And this kind of complex languages, as good as Rust might be for memory safety, it's also not perfect, right? The ecosystem, not the most impressed by, and if something already takes 1 hour to bootstrap, it's also the syntax, and not falling the most in love with that one. But leave me in the comments below. I know we have quite some Java and .NET fans. Always interested to hear your opinion. Also, if you watch this later in the digital video recording archive there. And as that, in my opinion, it's probably a really historic mistake that the open source community was so vintage, even when, in my opinion, we could have already much more secure code if we had at least used some light form of C++, a little bit of STL strings, and a little bit more safety would probably already avoided half of the bugs, and maybe then at least a microkernel, even if it's 10% slower. But as you see, if you write drivers, maybe if you put the efforts in, if everything works more amazing and stable, and then you have also time left for writing 3D drivers and hardware acceleration, and maybe then everything is more snappy because you have better hardware drivers. Also, if you do not ruin the drivers you once had every decade or two because the API breaks and stuff. So maybe with the microkernel ecosystem well maintained and stuff, you wouldn't even see the 10% because graphic is twice as fast or something. So yeah. Anyway, hope you learned something, and see you soon for the next videos. Again, one's scheduled for tomorrow, and then more live streams. Also, recurring news, I probably really have to switch soon. I know I said this a couple of times already. On the second, and really, by the way, this bloody thief, fun fact, the two things they have stolen from the storage unit is, well, thankfully they're not the scanners, although they are old document scanners or whatever. The only two phones I found were stolen was Neo. I mean, it's also hilarious, right? All normal people, they probably looked at it looked luxury, with it was in this kind of black James Bond kind of traveling case, and it probably looked cool one there. But it's of course hilarious, right? Even I personally could barely use this phone, and then some bloody thief steals it. And the other was a one laptop per child, which, by the way, somewhere further away. Anyway, or is it actually there? Anyway, that I repaired here on this YouTube channel if you're interested in this. And the one laptop per child I really got back, so we declared this 2 pieces stolen to the police, and the thief, of course the thief didn't say, yeah, he didn't break in, he didn't stay anything, he only wanted to take drugs. They're like, yeah, this is why you had the one laptop per child in your backpack, right? So the one laptop per child we got back, but the Neo here unfortunately not so much too. Sometimes you even get your stolen stuff back. 0 frames right now. And what did I wanted to say? All right, secondary channel. I probably really have to, with a growing audience, have to switch to the secondary channel here at channels and yeah, more live here. And you probably want to share, like, and subscribe on the secondary channel. Still gathering more subscribers because would of course be nice if we earn $1 a day and not nothing, because can only monetize it with 4,000 watch hours or something, and 1,000 subscribers. So it would be amazing if you are interested in this random stuff. Also, if you're interested in random stuff, leave me in the comments random stuff like 3D, P3, SGI Octane, or random news. So long story short, in the future, breaking news probably soon there, because don't want to lose subscribers who are only here for pre-edited AAA amazing vintage and other fun content. Thanks for watching, have an amazing day or night, and I hope to see you soon for all the videos and live streams to come.